All right, everybody. Gearing up for a Wednesday night. A rainy one, another soaked. It's soaked over here in New York. And it's just going to, but I like it. Every once in a while. I mean, I need a break from this a little bit. Let's get back to baking in the sun. But we have a good show tonight lined up. We got some interesting guests to talk some trash. And then who knows how we end. Might end a little bit early, but you guys and gals always have a little bit of a say in that as we open up the line to the tail end, and I'll have a couple of open-ended questions for you all to just jump in on. But welcome. It is Wednesday. It is May 14th, 2025. I am over here at Studio A in New York, and you guys are wherever you like parking yourself this time of night, all throughout the week. It's Quite Frankly. This is the pre-show, very short pre-show, just to let you know that we got TopLobsta, we got Top, and we got Raven of the Nephilim Death Squad. They're returning. I think the first time that they were on was in March, but they're returning to add a second volume of topics to our joint library of discussions now that's slowly building. UFO cults, human hybridization theories, and the search for lost heirs of divine bloodlines. All that and more. All of that and more tonight. And audience contributions as well. And let's see what you guys got for us. I want to thank my wonderful sponsors for the evening. That's Keto Brainz. Keto Brainz goes great with Elevation Blend Coffee. The two of them together, you just can't beat it. You really can't. And I'm actually very upset that I forgot to bring myself a nighttime shot of it over here. I've done that the last couple of nights, and it's just been wonderful. But I don't. I still have the Quite Frankly mug over here with good old water, so I can pretend it's something else. Anyway, you can get the mug where you get the coffee. It's all on quitefrankly.tv. We got the banner right at the bottom, right underneath the embedded stream and the chat room there from Pilled. It's on the affiliates page. Get them together. They go great together. So there you have it. Promo code Frankly. And if you're a sponsor, you get recurring promo codes for that elevation blend. No, for the Keto Brainz. So thank you guys so much. Thank you. Let's see. What else do we have? Upcoming guests tomorrow. Michael Collins, Jason Burmis on Friday. On Monday, which is the last show before me, Lauren, and Aurora take off for a couple of days, Richard Gage. Richard Gage, formerly of Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. This is the first time I get to speak to Richard Gage. This is going to be wonderful. And hopefully I get to have him in studio at some point down the line. But still, that'll be Monday. And after that concludes 9 o'clock p.m. Film Club, The Prestige. It is open to everybody. And the topic has been opened up on the official forum on quitefrankly.tv. Go check it out. In fact, I think the link, somebody's been getting the link around. Somebody told me that the link has been shared where people can watch The Prestige for free. I forgot where the hell that was sent. Was it Nikki who had it? I don't know. But either way, I don't know where the hell. Be on the lookout for that. But you can also just get it. I'm gonna watch it again on Saturday night, since the Saturday night special that we were supposed to have with my father and my cousin got moved into June. So now Saturday night, I'm just kind of like going to be chilling. I'm going to watch The Prestige again with Lauren. I'll make some notes and it'll be fun. And that'll be Monday. But there's so much more when we get back from Memorial Day. Robin McCutcheon, Mark from Michigan. It's going to be a great one. Mark Kernke. We're going to be talking about 1990s, a retrospective. And it's going to be a shortwave radio simulcast. And then more along the way. So much good stuff. Really, a lot. I think G. Edward Griffin in July. And I have more that I'm about to put on the schedule. So be on the lookout for that. And also for June, get ready for Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Go buy yourself Mark Twain, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. That is the book club pick for June. Charlie Robinson is coming back on. Man, I should bring Charlie Robinson back on this show, especially with all of the Shoeless Joe Jackson news. And we read we read Shoeless Joe back, 2023, 2022, something like that. Oh man, what a wonderful read. And now here it is, Field of Dreams, the source material for Field of Dreams. Now that Shoeless Joe Jackson can take his rightful place in Cooperstown, I should see what the hell Charlie thinks about that. And also Charlie Hustle, Pete Rose. So, again, so many people to talk to in so little time. All right, over on the grab bag end of things, we have a little bit of time before we bring on our guests. They're coming on in a few minutes. Oh, do I have some things for you? Hey, for number one, a little bit more of an attainable goal. I have a little YouTube super chat goal set up in the chats. If we hit that goal, then on Friday night I will wear a loud, busy shirt that everybody is so upset about how bland I've been wearing, how I've been dressing lately. I've probably upset somebody tonight because of this navy blue thermal. But on Friday night I'll wear something remarkably loud. If we hit that. Now here is a goal that I wish was attainable, because this would just be really fun. From Realtor.com a couple days ago, an entire Montana town on the edge of Yellowstone is listed for sale, $2.6 million. And it's a potential gold mine for savvy investors. Absolutely. I mean, you can turn an entire town into an Airbnb. I'm sure that all the natives would love that. So I know exactly that's what investors are going to think. I look at this and I say, okay, well, this is our little, I dare not call it a commune, but let's create a community. Let's do it. $2.6 million ain't that bad. And if that is really an aerial shot of the area, it looks fantastic. That looks gorgeous. $2.6 million. In a very telling sign of Yellowstone's soaring popularity because of the Kevin Costner series, the ask represents a 441% increase from the last sale price of the property in 2018, which was $480,000. You're telling me you could have owned a small town, a small mountain town, for $480,000? Wow. Wowee. It's a post office and everything? Well, yeah, it has a post office. Good gosh. Well, anyway, I think we can do it. I think we can raise $2.6 million in Super Chats tonight alone. And then we can all just go hang out there. And that's it. We don't have to worry about anything anymore, except the elements and Indian Attack. And big city investors that want to come in and kill everybody. And then, of course, we would turn on each other. Or clover. The cows eating clover and dying. See, I've learned about all of the ranching problems since watching Yellowstone. I know all the ranching problems now. And yes, I wonder if we get to make up our own, I don't know. Well, we'll look into this. And as soon as I finish looking into it, it'll be sold 5 times over. It'll be flipped, actually, by the time I can afford it. All right, moving on to something else. Here's another one. Kevin O'Leary says, listen to this. Everyone's talking politics, but here's what really matters. The Middle East is now ground zero for AI innovation. The UAE is already number 3 globally. I just got back from Abu Dhabi and saw a fully AI-powered real estate project. We have nothing like it here. I even had a medical procedure that the FDA won't allow yet. I filtered my blood, oxygenated it, and pumped in 50 billion exosomes. I walked out feeling like I was 18 again. That's the level that they're operating on. Listen to this.
President Trump, he wants to round it up to $1 trillion worth of deals and investments in the United States. Where do you think that money's going?
Most of it's AI. This trip is about 2 things, China and AI. What people don't realize, that region is one of the fastest growing on earth. I'm talking about the circle of friendship here, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates. Who's number 3 in AI development right now? US, China's number 2, number 3, UAE. So that's why all those AI guys are there. They are so advanced. I just got back there 2 days ago from Abu Dhabi and Dubai. I saw for the first time ever a real estate development completely AI driven. We have nothing like it here. You talk about a smart home, they're way past that. The medical AI technology they have over there, I got a procedure there we don't offer here, FDA doesn't allow it, called EBU, where my blood was filtered and then oxygenated, then ozonated, and then injected with 50 billion exosomes. I walked out of there like a teenager. I feel like $1 million right now. I said, can I do this again next week? They said, no, you got to wait 4 more months. They are so advanced. By getting this whole thing worked out with these countries, we need to align with them because they want to be in the circle of friendship on all of these metrics, whether it's going to be AI, whether it's going to be real estate, whether it's going to be development. And we don't want China doing that. We want the U.S. forming that relationship.
Well, there you go. So he went out.
President Trump,
he had his AI dialysis done. And, oh, you know what? And speaking of that, I have I have a little bit of an update on the Line project. A little bit of an update on the Line project. That's the Saudi Arabian project. It's the however many kilometers across the entire country. And they wanted to pack however many millions of people into this little glass wall. Like a giant human terrarium. And I have a little bit on that in just a second. Here it is right here. Take a listen to this, a little bit of an update on how it had to be scaled down from its initial visions, but there's still enough here, and it's too fascinating. And it's underway. They're still clearing a lot of things and getting ready for foundation, but there's a lot that's involved, of course. Take a look.
When the Line was first announced in 2021, Saudi Arabia envisioned an entirely completed 170 kilometers long megacity housing 1.5 million residents by 2030. However, as construction progresses, it has become clear that this timeline is overly ambitious. In response, officials have scaled down the initial vision, adopting a phased approach to ensure feasibility and investor confidence. As of 2025, the focus has shifted to completing the hidden marina, the initial segment of the city. This marks a significant adjustment from the original plan, but allows for better resource allocation, technological refinement, and infrastructural testing before full-scale
Is that an indoor marina?
expansion. Despite these adjustments, Saudi Arabia remains committed to completing the Line. NEOM officials have reaffirmed that the Line is going to be over 100 kilometers long and 1.2 kilometers wide by 2045. The success of the initial segment will determine whether the full vision can eventually be realized or if further modifications will be necessary.
Well, there you have it. There you have it. 2030 to a 2045 timeline. We're gonna be witnessing some very interesting stuff, and it's only getting quicker. It's only accelerating. There's gonna be a little bit of a hint of AI in this tonight. We're not going to be talking about big construction projects. We're going to be talking about theater of the mind. And more specifically, whether or not AI is about to or already doing so, ushering in a new era of folklore. That's going to be interesting. Something I want to throw out at Top and Raven. So there we have that. Okay. Well, all right. Anything else I have here? Oh, there is one more thing. There is one more thing. And I saw this just before I went live. I said, fine, I'll do it. Here's another something. Another something for you. Another something we might be able to raise some money on one day. Bald men are resurrecting the toupee. Did you hear this? I didn't. Here's what women think about the throwback style. They don't want to pay for hair transplants. Balding millennial men are nixing pricey trips to Turkey, preferring to rock retro rugs instead. Reverting back to the wiggy ways of their forefathers, 30-somethings with receding hairlines are resurrecting the once demode toupee. You know, they're in a comeback of John Travolta-like proportions. So let me tell you something. I've seen some of these hair pieces on Instagram. I promise you, I'm not shopping for them. It's just every once in a while they pop up, or you see somebody that's going to Turkey, and I don't know. There's something about these hair transplants that just don't look right. They don't look right. Many of them, they just don't look right. Let's normalize men wearing toupees, urged Maddie Marotta, a Tennessee-based content creator, in a clip where she likened the look to hair extensions on women, a widely accepted style. By the age of 35, 2/3 of American men will experience some degree of noticeable hair loss, and by 50, approximately 85% will have significantly thinning hair. Around 25% of men with male pattern baldness begin losing hair before the age of 21. See, he's mortified. Look, oh my God, I'm thinning. Well, anyway, now as far as show us some wigs here. This guy, what is this? Here you go. Watch this. Look at this. I'm gonna get dinged for that. Look, there's the toupee. It's not like the whole thing. It's like a patch. These things are getting better. Like it does. It's almost like putting in dentures. It's not like the whole thing. I know there's a difference between a toupee and a wig, but that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good if you didn't know him prior to. But then again, when you get to know him and all of a sudden he takes off the front part of his head, it's going to be a little jarring. But I don't know. I would, I do know something though. I would wear one on air as a gag one night. I've already worn a wig on air for Halloween once, a long brown wig, kind of like Peter Steele style. I would wear one on air as a joke, but we got to find the right one, and it has to be a celebration, some kind of a prize for doing something as an audience, like a certain type of super chat goal or something like that. But the other thing is, where do we find the wig? I'm not buying this shit. These things are expensive. They are expensive. What if I get a toupee that takes me from where I am right now just to the comb over? What if I go from this to comb over, where it looks neat right now, but I get one that only attaches to the side and then drapes over the top? Like whenever I take pictures of Aurora next to my face, and I take her hair and I comb it over the top of my head. I've shared those on Patreon and Subscribestar before, a long time. I forget when. But it looks like a classic comb over, 68-year-old guy that does the comb over thing. That's what it looks like when I take Aurora's hair and I drape it over my head when we're cheek to cheek. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll have some fun with a toupee sometime down the road, and we'll see where life takes us. How does that sound? All right. Well, we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We are coming up right after this with Lobster and Dave. What do you think that we should do to entertain people at home?
I hate this show.
Oh my God. So I don't look at the chat room. And now she's kind of brought that with her.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!
All the editing work that I have to do at the end of every night before I upload the podcast now. I'm sure that some of you out there who listen to the show audio only, I have noticed I've cut out the intro, I've cut out the end, I cut out things, and everything is getting flagged on Spotify now. Any incidental music that is heard gets flagged and the episode gets taken down. So when I noticed that trend, I had to gut it. So don't be surprised when you realize somewhere down the line soon, there's going to be a little bit more of a safe approach to the standard music that we use, because just nuts. Talk about sticking the spokes. Well, anyway, tonight we're going to be hanging out with our two friends. It's been a while since we've spoken with them, and I don't know. It was actually right before the springtime hit. That's when last time we spoke to Top and to Raven, and they're back tonight because we're just going to be chilling and talking about a little bit of a follow-up, but then also not. There's a lot of interesting things that are happening right now. I want to run by them because I'm sure they might have a theory or two on it, even if they haven't heard it before. How the hell are you guys doing?
Doing good, man. How are you doing? Thanks for having us back. People really enjoyed the last. I don't know if you got positive feedback, but we got a lot of positive feedback about the last conversation.
Of course. We were like, oh man, they got to come back. And you know what? We did so much in so little time. I said, all right, well then we're gonna have to let's just put it on the books soon. So what was that? Back in March, and now we're all together for a May excursion.
Yeah. It feels like it was forever ago, doesn't it?
I know.
Is it May? It's May already?
It is.
Dude, I can't even keep track. Time's dilating, all right? We already have Antichrist on the move here. Israel is forming... there's a lot going on, Frank. I'm excited to be back with you. I'm surprised you invited us back. What a huge mistake on your part.
What are you going to do? I seldom learn from big mistakes. But one night, I don't know what, because we have so much to do tonight. But I want to just know, have you guys, when it comes to Israel and Armageddon, have you guys done a deep dive into the red heifer sacrifice? Because I've been building pieces on that as the headlines have come in over the years. And now there's been kind of like a lull over the last, 14 to 16 months, I feel.
Yeah, there was a... Oh, go ahead, Top.
So we did like a whole stream on it. That was right around the time when we had that solar eclipse. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
People thought the world was ending.
The one that passed through like seven cities named Salem, and the other one passed through like 7 cities named what Nineveh? Was it? Something with Nineveh. That's right. Yeah, made an X across the country.
Yeah, so we were tracking that pretty heavily, especially even on the comedy show. We were tracking it because it's just very funny on its face. Like, You've got like a bunch of like rabbis or like Jewish scholars, and they have like a magnifying glass, and they're looking at this red heifer in Texas, and people were getting excited about it. Like I even have on TopLobsta.com there's a T-shirt. It's a red heifer fulfilling end time prophecy, and people were buying it. People were real excited, and it stopped. I think because they had to pull it back. A lot of like the Daily Wire people. There's a girl in the Daily Wire. Forget her name. But she was talking about it as if it was exciting. She was like, isn't this great? And me, among other people, were like, what are you, like, you're talking about an erection of the third temple, which will basically bring about end times prophecy. It might be good for you guys, according to your prophecy, but for us, it's not so great. I wish you would hold off on that. I've got kids. I'm doing things. We got an event planned like for later this month. So it's like, can you not? And then they pulled it back.
Just do it.
It was also the hang glider situation, wasn't it? Because one of the leaders of Hamas said that this was in part response to the red heifer situation. All of the attention that was surrounding it.
Because there's going to, because for that to be a physical project that actually puts into place, there would be Muslim displacement. No, right. There is a mosque there now that would have to be dismantled, I think, or something like that. So at the very least, when I was reading this, as all the headlines were still very, they're coming out almost daily or weekly or whatever, from the exchange of the cows being bought and shipped in from Texas and all that other stuff. I was like, okay, well, regardless of whatever kind of mystical ends or goals there are in this thing here, there's a lot of geopolitical
ramifications.
Big time.
Yeah, it kind of leads into the topic that you wanted to talk about with us. I can't even remember this guy's name. Hashem.
Even if I couldn't pronounce it.
Yeah, it's Abdullah Hashem. We're gonna get to him in a second. Let me ask you real quick. I just want because it's not really germane to anything we're talking about tonight, but what we talked about in a large degree the last time you were on, and that was your digesting of the telepathy tapes. What did you think last month? Did you guys have any conversations last month when RFK Jr. right before Easter got a lot of people very upset, suggesting, and we remember we're on YouTube. You guys are on YouTube too. You know how this works. So let's just do the best we can. Suggesting that autism rates are tied to environmental hazards far more than people want to admit, beyond screening techniques. It got me thinking about our telepathy tapes talk in March. Did that make its way into your show at all?
I don't know that we talked about it on the show, but wasn't there something to the effect of people were going to have to wrestle with the part that we played in it? I remember there was this connotation of like guilt on behalf of whoever is taking these children for these invasive medical procedures, guardians or parents or otherwise. But I don't remember I remember being surprised because it feels as though there's a larger agenda to push in the direction that we discussed last time. And then every once in a while, these little anomalies pop up where something kind of goes against that grain. So I didn't know what to make of it, but that conversation has, since blown up even more so in regards to, like I said, those inoculations and all of the effects, surrounding them.
Yeah. What about you, Lobsta? Anything?
I don't know. It feels like, it always feels like a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
Like nothing ever happens, but it's being brought up again. He was talking about the rates specifically, and now I think he's targeting fluoride. He's doing all of these things that we want to see. And I don't know what to make of it. It seems like it's part of this program from the 50s. Like I think we made this argument the last time we were on the show, that this is a widespread program from the 50s, and it's used to create a certain disassociation in the children's mind for like some sort of experimentation, which is not uncommon when you look at these practices, at least like, Project Montauk, MK Ultra. So I don't know what's going on. I'm watching them. I'm watching to see if they'll do anything about it. I know recently they were talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene was talking about the COVID vax and how it shouldn't be mandated for children. I don't know where that's going to go, but it's back on the table again. So this conversation is continually being flirted with, and we're constantly it's like the UFO stuff, right? Like we're constantly being flirted with disclosure.
Yes.
Like we're flirting with disclosure and we never quite get it. It's just like a conversation that slides through every so often. People like it, they want to talk about it, and then Kanye West makes a song or something like that, and we're on to the next thing, So it's like
There has been some interesting information, though, that I came across in regards to that last conversation that we had with you. And it's this podcast. Man, I got to get the name of the podcast, but there's one host. I think he's like, he seems to be a throwback from like a Disney Channel kind of kid, all grown up now. And he's doing this podcast and they're talking about the Gates program, which fits, almost centrally into what we were discussing last time. And she's going through all these revelations about the Gates program. And this poor guy that seems to, like I said, he's like an old throwback celebrity of sorts. He's going, oh my God, I remember that. And she goes, yeah. And then there was like a set of headphones they put on you and they're checking to hear if you can hear these tones. And he goes, yeah, that happened to me actually. And then he goes, wait, and they were having you flip over flashcards to see if you can predict what was on one flashcard or the next. And he's starting, this guy's having an existential crisis, on camera.
Beautiful.
It was beautiful. And everything is resonating with him. Everything is bringing up all these old memories. And one of the guys on the panel goes, well, what's the point? What's the point of doing this to these kids? What is their goal? And the girl says flat out, they're trying to put these kids in contact with aliens. And as soon as she says that, this poor throwback kind of Disney character kid has a full-blown meltdown. He has a childhood full of memories of being abducted by Greys. He has sleep paralysis, this and that. He has an obsession with aliens. I mean, it was so fascinating. Given what we discussed with you last time, it's like this woman was right over the target. It's just that we have a differentiation in what an alien is, or the nature of an alien, let's say. And that's, I know, something that you wanted to discuss at some point. But watching that kid have that breakdown, and then I keep calling him a kid. He's the same age as us. And then watching her articulated so elegantly and just kind of semi-missed the mark, but you could tell that her reasoning works well enough that if you gave her this information, she might analyze it the right way. And I said, man, is that not perfect? I mean, she's looking at it from the direction of the Gates program, And that was just one of many aspects of this big system that we mentioned last time on your show.
Yeah, there's so many.
Yes.
Go ahead, Top.
Oh, sorry. I'm just going to add on to that because it does seem like a lot of these procedures or tests that they're doing on like normal kids in school or whether it's at the doctor's office, it's like it has something to do with this UFO disclosure stuff, with this alien stuff. That again, this is another thing that just it's always floating by the conversation, right? Like we'll talk about it for a little while and then something else happens. Donald Trump says something and it's like, oh, whatever, the next thing. But it was brought to my attention that Stephen Greer actually has an app on the App Store. It's it's called the CE5 Contact app. Do you know what CE5 is, Frank?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, this guy just has an app where you could contact entities or aliens and call them in. And one of the features of this app is like I guess you'd scroll through it and it has like the little hamburger thing, but you can click on it and it's like contact aliens, contact user. Are you having issues using this? Do you want to use binaural beats? Like you can click this, it'll play a frequency, and this frequency will put you into a state of mind that will help you then channel these entities. So like we are full blown in this sci-fi world. I think Cliff High coined it sci-fi world.
Or he said sci-fi future, I think he said. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, we're in it, baby. And it's like, there's no turning back. Most of the people don't really know what's going on, but I think we're crazy enough or lucky enough to be able to see this ahead. So we might not fall into some of these mistakes. Don't download the CE5 app.
Don't meditate to bring in UFOs, please, for the love of God.
That's
I just want to tell you, Frank, real quick.
Yeah,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, well, I was just gonna say this: the CE5 program has been out there for a long time. That's his Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. And in fact, if you guys just spend a couple of minutes on YouTube, do some CE5 searches, you'll see at least a half a dozen old videos of them doing with like guided meditations with Stephen Greer on like beach fronts throughout the country, where off in the distance, so you'll have the setting sun, so it's not the sun you're seeing, but these orbs will show up out of nowhere and sometimes in duplicate. And I mean, you say, well, it's not real, or I mean, something happened, and it's I didn't know they have the app, but it makes perfect sense. The CE5 program's been out there for a long time, and the fact that they actually have embedded binaural beats is something
that's fascinating.
Well, it's like nothing to see here. Don't worry. Binaural beats, for anyone who's listening, this is a technique that's used to channel, but it's not just used by people who want to channel UFOs. It's used by people doing witchcraft, people that use these binaural meditation beats to meditate or channel or think deeply. There's often there's a relationship with like demonic entities or poltergeists in their house, things like this. You're opening up a door with a certain frequency, and the overlap is stunning. Like we're fans of Timothy Alberino, Indiana Moans. He's our favorite, but like he doesn't think that the alien phenomena overlaps with the demon phenomenon or the Nephilim phenomenon, which we would, Nephilim Desqua, that's kind of like what we lean into. When it looks like a strike, it looks like right down the middle, this is kind of what they're doing. And it reminds me, I was just listening back to an old episode we did with a guy named Citizen D, who claims he was responsible for, well, he says that the crop circles that we see, he says about 80% are made by people. They're all orchestrated. He's one of them in the UK that has a team that does these things. And I did a little bit of trickery on him during the show when we were asking him. He was talking about poltergeist activity in his house and how he doesn't really think about it. Like sometimes things get knocked off the table, but he doesn't really look at it. So it's like whatever, and it doesn't bother him as much. And I pulled up these symbols and sigils on the screen, and I shared, and I said, do you recognize any of these here? And he goes, yeah, mate, the one fourth from the left right there. Yeah, that one I put in a field. I recognize that symbol. And I'm like, that's interesting because I just pulled a page from the Keys of Solomon. These are the symbols and sigils that he was using to summon demons to build his temple, kind of, full circle to the Jewish temples. And he's like, oh. And I was like, yeah. Did you put a circle around that in the field? Because if you didn't, that means like this demon is not enclosed. Yeah, you just summoned a demon, an entity, to a field and then left.
Yeah.
And he's like, Oh, yeah. I was like, well, what asked you to do that? He's like, I don't know. Like they just claim it's like a download. They get a download and then they just go do this. I'm like,
don't eat that corn. Whatever you do, don't eat any of the crops. Don't eat any of the crops that come out of that field. That's, okay. Let me throw a couple of things together for you guys then, because there's something I was going to throw at you that was a little bit, tailing end on the telepathy tapes aspect. On GLP, maybe about a week ago, I had seen this post that said schizophrenia, an alternative explanation. And now that I'm thinking about the CE5, you're just talking about CE5 and the fact that they have binaural beats in there. And for, we've talked about what goes on at the Monroe Institute, and we've had Toby Wright on the show, Grammy-winning producer, to talk about his his sound technology for sleep and all that stuff. But binaural beats in particular is about syncing the hemispheres of the brain in a certain way to be able to, find focus or open up gates and all that other stuff. And anyway, this post, I actually just grabbed it up here in case I needed it tonight. It said this: what if we call schizophrenia, what we call schizophrenia may not be a disease in the conventional sense, but rather an unfiltered consciousness, a raw, unshielded connection to multiple layers of reality. In this view, the individual is not broken, but overexposed. Their mind has lost the veil that separates this timeline from others. They received voices, visions, emotions not rooted in their current space-time experience, but bleeding from alternative selves and shadow lives and parallel trajectories. What is perceived as delusion may instead be misaligned perception, unable to anchor itself to a single coherent vision of reality. If anything is being damaged, it may not be the brain tissue directly, but the ego structure, the delicate framework that allows a self to stay stable in one reality. Without the filters that most people unconsciously rely on, the psyche becomes overwhelmed, misidentifying stimuli and breaking down under the weight of too many truths at once. In this light, healing may not lie just in medication, but in integration, grounding, and guided reconnection to the present timeline. And they go on to say that perhaps all of the greatest seers and prophets, like the oracles of Delphi. I know that there was other atmospheric things going on at Delphi, but other oracles throughout time, that perhaps they were schizophrenic, and that not to say that all the things that were coming through was just random, scattered, nonsensical stuff, that it was real. So I don't know how to bring all this stuff together. I guess maybe because we're talking about syncing hemispheres of the brain, and maybe there's a little bit unregulated brain activity over here with schizophrenia, and then we have I don't know, the mind unleashed, and where are some of those voices coming from? Is it where, from who? All around us, there could be several sources. You never know. I don't know. You got run away with that one for a little bit.
Well, Frank, you just stepped in some shit right here. Yeah. For the first 6 months.
Stepped in it, dude.
Stepped in it, dog. The first 6 months of this show was basically on this subject. I'll ask Frank a question, and I'm gonna let David talk for an hour about this. But how many of your thoughts do you think are your own, Frank?
Oh yeah, if you had to put a percentage on it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, if I have to put a percentage on it, I will say maybe somewhere around 53%. I mean, I look at our brains, I look at us, and I had this for a long time. Perhaps maybe when I was a lot younger, I'd say, well, I don't know. Maybe, I get influence from people around me, but I think I'm mostly my own man. But I tend to think of ourselves as individual broadcast units now. We send and receive. And that obviously doesn't, it only increases when we sleep. So I'll put myself somewhere around 53 to 57, perhaps. I don't know.
Very specific.
Yeah, that is a very specific number. We Top was right. We spent probably the first 6 months of the show going on about this, and it's not really stopped. It's only tapered off slightly, the discussion around schizophrenia.
Well, it's turned into something different, right?
It's turned into something massively different. I actually have people very close to me in my family that are schizophrenic, or a person, people. And I thought for a period it was going to happen to me. I heard a voice when I was a kid, and I never let go of that. I was like 4 years old or something, and I remember very clearly hearing a woman's voice when I was a child, and then finding out that my aunt was schizophrenic. Big worries. I thought it was going to happen to me, but I think the onset for that is like 27 to early 30s for males. And if it doesn't happen, you're kind of in the clear after that.
Thank God.
So 53 to 57% is a very specific number, but we have a relationship with a Dr. Jerry Marzinski, who would claim he thinks it's around 80% of your thoughts are not your own.
Oh, whoa.
And,
are not our own.
Are not your own.
Oh,
and
yes.
so Dr. Jerry Marzinski is a clinical psychologist in the field of study for 35 years, or actually in the field working, an occupied therapist dealing specifically with schizophrenic patients. Now, first, he deals with them in a prison setting. And later on in life, he deals with them. First he deals with them in a medical setting, and then later on in a prison setting. After, I guess, he either I think his job went away. How did that go?
No,
wait, hold on. Is this guy did he do like a 2-hour long video on psychopathy? On psychopaths?
I'm not sure if he did. We've had him on the show several times. I know he's spoken to Owen Benjamin. He's made the rounds over the past year, but originally.
He left his job at the if I'm remembering correctly. You can go back and watch the episodes or whenever he talks about it. But he was running into some problems because he wasn't buying the conventional Western medicine solution for specifically schizophrenia, which he was dealing with a lot in this hospital medical setting. And he decided to, just not change occupation, but change where he was working because the jail gave him a little bit more leniency to kind of like deal with this in a different way. Whereas like the medical profession, the medical setting of like, medical professionals you're dealing with, outpatients, they're like, yo, treat it this way. We don't want any problems.
Don't want to get sued.
Don't want to get sued. Give them the prescriptions we tell you to do. Treat schizophrenia as if it's hallucinations, which is what is diagnosed in the book. But he started to do some studies and found out, he's like, well, if it's a hallucination, it shouldn't adhere to these specific patterns. And I believe there's like 21 of them. But David, go ahead, rattle us off.
So it's like, within randomness, there is some pattern that emerges. So there's room for pattern within random auditory and visual hallucinations. But he found 23 discernible patterns that this thing adhered to. And that just doesn't, vibe with a set of hallucinations. And so he eventually starts to treat these things as if they are something that exists outside of the body, that it's not something that is indicative of a chemical brain imbalance or a brain chemical imbalance or some sort of, fissure or fraction in the psyche, that this is something that is coming from outside these individuals. And over time, he actually convinces, I guess after he's got it on good authority, these people to treat it in the prison, treat it like it's something external to themselves. And they actually end up having a great deal of success. But over time, strange things start to happen. Like I remember he talked about a patient coming up to him and telling him that the voices say, you have no right to interfere with their way of life. That's what one of the patients came up to him and said to Dr. Jerry Marzinski. And this is after he's telling them to treat it as if it's something external to themselves.
Wow.
And over time, he also found that these things react really negatively to scripture. And you could say that is the psychological scaffolding of, the average Western American. But it gets to the point where, Dr. Jerry Marzinski ends up actually encountering one of the voices. And the way it manifests to him is absolutely wild. So he has, how does this story go? Is this top after he's
seeing an inmate, and the guy is coming to his office over the course of a couple of months. And I guess he thinks he's built enough of a relationship with him where he says, there's a Spanish guy that is also a psychiatrist, and he has some works about maybe these voices are external from you. And he has a paragraph written from this guy, and he slides it over to the patient, to the inmate, and he goes, just read this really quickly and tell me what you think about it. So the guy starts to read it, and as he finishes it, he says the guy kind of like blanks out and staying like a zombie, just kind of like staring at the paper. And he's like, is everything okay? Like, are we good here? And the guy doesn't say anything. He hears a crackling across the wall. He says it goes from like the left side of the wall all the way around him. And he's like looking now to see what this is. Like he described it as an electromagnetic static. It goes behind his head and it jumps into the garbage bin right by his desk. He looks in the garbage bin. There's nothing there. He looks back at the guy. He says, what the hell was that? The guy snaps out of it, stands up, and leaves his office. So he's like, I'm freaked out a little bit. And he closes his practice for the day. A couple weeks later, the guy comes back to the office to see him. And he said the guy is looking better. He seems to have taken his advice to treat this thing externally. And actually, you know, I'll be a little bit honest here on this show. Not just it's not just for schizophrenia patients, but like most men struggle with, like, I don't know, looking at porn. Let's say that's one of the things, right? You'll be scrolling Twitter and then all of a sudden butt cheeks and you're like, I should, right? And I started to treat this proclivity as if it's external to me, and it's like a lot easier to deal with. It's like that thought is not your own. This is like something tapping. You can almost feel it, like a pull. Like, I'm sure people that struggle with other types of addiction feel the same way, whether it be alcohol, gambling, whatever. You feel this, like, just a little bit. Come on.
Yeah.
And it's hard to decipher. It's like, is that me or is that something else?
It's an agency thing, because if, let's say, the medical industry has this all based off of chemical imbalances and things of that nature, that, you know, a lot of it, especially when it comes to like the attention deficit disorder thing, there's no science to back that there's a chemical imbalance in the brain. You can't prove it. You can't lobotomize it, you know, a human being. They've never established a baseline. But if you are telling somebody that this is all auditory and visual hallucinations, you're essentially telling them their brain is broken, which is like, you're lost in the ocean. You have no way to, it's kind of throwing in the towel, like, oh, I'm broken, I guess, and there's nothing I could do about that.
No recourse.
But he found, even if you wanted to dismiss this as like placebo effect, let's say, certainly then the results he found is that giving an individual agency over their own recovery is far more successful than telling them that they're just broken, a lost cause, and they have to take these pills in perpetuity that make them feel like a zombie. Like, we have not addressed the schizophrenic issue, the mental health issue, whatever you want to call it. I think it's a spiritual disposition. We've not addressed it to virtually any success here in the West. We've
expedited it with pills that resemble methamphetamine, which is a huge driver of, according to Marzinski, a huge driver of schizophrenia. It's the drug that he said, I believe he said it like kicks the door open, and it's like putting a doorstop in it.
He said that out of all the drugs that he's seen people addicted to, the one that emulates the symptoms of schizophrenia the most is methamphetamine. And after a certain amount of usage, he found that those patients would be basically plagued even in sobriety. Even in sobriety, this would perpetuate, and they would be diagnosed bipolar schizophrenia or schizophrenia.
Let me finish the story. So the guy comes back. He says he seems to be doing better. He could see the levity on his face, and he says that he's taking his advice. And then Jerry's like, you know, what the hell happened the last time we were here? You blanked out, looked at me like a zombie, freaked me out. And the guy's like, oh, you know, it was nothing. And then he goes, did you hear the static noise? He said there was a static in the room. Did you hear that? And the guy, like, you know, he's like, you heard that noise? And he's like, yeah. He's like, what was that? And the inmate says, those were the voices. Like, so Jerry is perceiving it as a electrostatic crackling, and this guy is even call that a
frequency, right?
Yeah, like some sort of frequency, but that's how he's hearing it. And the inmate is hearing it as the voice of the schizophrenic voice. But it's almost like a poltergeist that's tangible in the room. So Jerry's like, I'll play along. This guy's like, you know, playing with me. He says, what did it say? And he said, the voice told me to go and find a shiv and stick it in your guts. And Jerry, I love him. He looks at the guy and he goes, why didn't you? And the guy says, no one would give me one and I couldn't find one. That was it. And he was like, I closed my office the rest of the day. And I mean, he's got transcript after transcript of this. He actually brought a guy on our show that is I guess he would say he's recovering still, but he did recover from this.
He was diagnosed bipolar schizophrenic in his early 20s, and now we got to speak to him at, you know, as an older man, probably in his 50s, who's lived a successful life as a mechanical engineer since then. This is supposed to be something that you don't recover from. This is supposed to be something that's just maintained with these pills for the rest of your life. But this guy was treating it as something external to himself and overcame it, and then went on to have a successful career.
Well, I just always pray that there's more time put into this and more options opened up to people. That's just that's a crazy story. It really is. And I think about it often. And especially from the communication standpoint, where is it coming from? Is it purely spiritual? Is it from some kind of an intergalactic or interdimensional source? I don't know. But here, you know, before we get on to the Raëlian thing in particular and all this, the Antichrist and all that other stuff, Let me ask you something else that just popped up for me, which is a little bit more of a global scale conspiracy theory that doesn't get enough attention, I don't think. And I had to write it in the notes, and it's actually taken some space up in the title tonight. The theory that DNA-based genealogy companies like 23andMe have ulterior missions that go way deeper than your run-of-the-mill surveillance or genetic data mining, all that stuff, that there's actually a global manhunt that is being conducted right now for lost heirs of regal or divine bloodlines or anything like that. You guys have got to must have touched on that. It's a theory that I love hearing about, but no one goes too deep into it. I don't know if it always comes back to Merovingian talks or if it's something else altogether. But what do you think about that? Ever touch on it?
I think what we're seeing is a constant struggle since like the Genesis 6 narrative, where you have these fallen angels intermingling with mankind and creating a hybrid, Nephilim. And in Greek mythology, they would have been called demigods. But in the Bible, it's the men of renown, heroes of old. And this theme is consistent through time, all the way up to, not only this whatever they're doing with all of our DNA, right? But also all the way up to the UAP thing. It's all one big incestual loop. But I would say that, yeah, they're looking for bloodlines. This whole thing is about bloodlines. I think specifically it is that bloodline that I mentioned, the bloodline of the serpent seed. It is.
That's Genesis 3:15. That's your seed will be at enmity with the seed of man, and his heel will crush your head. No, your head will bruise his heel, but his heel will crush your head. That's the prophecy that's told to Satan when he's kicked out of the garden. Mm-hmm. And it's continued. You have so then it moves on to Genesis 6, and they describe the fallen angels mating with a human woman, and that goes on and on and on and on, all the way up until current day, where we have this UFO sort of like breeding program going on. They're taking sperm, they're taking skin cells, or like using the woman's uterus. There's multiple stories of women being pregnant, getting abducted, losing the pregnancy without a trace, black-eyed children, other things. Elon Musk doing weird stuff, the Raëlian cult. I mean, it's all the same stuff. It's just named differently, or it's done slightly differently.
But if you look at the Bible, it's telling you that, these old kings that are ruling over man, these, lowercase g gods, that is the royal bloodline. These are the people who were chosen historically, throughout time to rule over us. So this whole, it's like we talk a lot about how there's those emails. I don't know if they were the Podesta emails, or if it was Anthony Weiner's laptop, or if it was the email leaks from Hillary Clinton, but she's looking for this resurrection chamber of Gilgamesh, right? And this is supposed to be somewhere in the Middle East. Gilgamesh is the same character, I think, as Nimrod, who would have been the first king of Babylon. And I think that it's pretty clear, given not pretty clear. I don't want to say that. It's not pretty clear, but we can speculate heavily, given a bunch of anecdotal evidence, that it seems like they care about something that's far more interesting than oil or permanent military establishments around the globe. It seems to be something else, a bloodline or something ancient. There's always been this hunt for ancient artifacts. Hitler was obsessed with the Spear of Destiny and the Holy Grail and all these things. I think that we get a smoke screen, and that smoke screen is geopolitical power struggles and things of that nature. And then you can go a little bit further and be like, this is actually about establishing a one world government. I think it's about preserving and resurrecting ancient bloodlines that are the direct descendants of these fallen that are described in Genesis 6.
Well, let me throw something else into that fire now, because I did take note of you guys. I don't know when it was when you covered that topic of the resurrection chamber of Gilgamesh, but that's probably the most intriguing story of ancient. I guess it is an intriguing story about ancient artifacts when you come across it. I don't know if that is the most intriguing one that you've come up with, but it's where all these things converge, especially when you talk about the middle of the middle of 20th century there. When you talk about Hitler and the occult, there is such an interesting convergence of several topics right there between the Vril Society and their alleged psychic links with off-world intelligence, that has gone on to be theorized of being the source of some of the technical data for much of our secret propulsion technology that we have over here. But also there's the well-publicized interest in collecting relics like the Ark, the Grail, the Spear of Destiny. They're also very interested in Tibetan and Buddhist relics as well. And then, of course, when you pull that all together and talk about what happened after the war, and we get into the founding of NASA, which was very occult, with Jack Parsons and the OTO. I mean, that right there, there's a lot of incarnation story theories that have that popped up around that time period too. That Parsons and some of his inner circle type of people, not only were they like firing off rockets in the desert there, but they're also trying to incarnate the Moonchild. And it's which actually circles back around to Hillary, because we always joke that the year that he was doing that was the year she was born. and
there's weird because she fits into that Alice in Wonderland. Like there's a whole thing about, I forget how it goes exactly, but there's a massive way in which like the archetype of Alice is played by Hillary Clinton as a child. It's a very unique thing, but yeah, that time in history begets all kinds of crazy crap, like the beginning of the MK Ultra program, like all of that stuff that we borrowed or we took from Operation Paperclip. I think what we were really interested, among other things, was this propaganda machine that they had executed so well. Who was it? It's the nephew of Freud. Top that we just learned was who wrote the playbook for the propaganda machine that the Nazis then executed. Was it Bernays? I could be mistaken.
Tavistock, no?
We just talked about this the other day on a show, and I forgot the specific name of it, but all of that rolls into the propaganda machine that we have today. And yeah, I mean, when I talk about that backdrop being like a cult and being about ancient relics and, you know, resurrection chambers and everything, if you look at that whole Jack Parsons story, I mean, Jack Parsons is, for all intents and purposes, the father of modern day jet propulsion technology. He worked at Jet Propulsion Labs, JPL or whatever it is. It's like a subcontractor to NASA. And so this guy is like a legitimate rocket science. And yeah, he's out in the desert with L. Ron Hubbard, of all people. And they're working on, I think it's the Babylon workings. It's Aleister Crowley's writings, and they're trying to bring in the Moonchild. And then, yeah, he's also moonlighting as a rocket scientist that's, you know, contracted by NASA. The whole thing, if it doesn't tell you that we have one layer of society that projects itself as like materialism, but that behind it, the glue that holds, I think like everything in this realm together is supernatural. It's spiritual, but that's not what any of this, it's all obfuscated. It's all occulted, right? So they lead with this, but behind their backs, they've got, you know, one of Aleister Crowley's books, and they're trying to usher in demons.
See, I always ask the question, and maybe you guys have gotten this answer out of anybody you've spoken to in the past as well. But, you know, I mean, many times either I'll talk to Timothy Alberino or Jay Dyer or, you know, anybody else that I want to come on and have a talk that will go into the occult and start talking about the metaphysical and all that stuff. And I often wonder how much of this is performance for certain groups where they get together, and obviously there's blackmail aspects. You want to get people doing weird things on camera, whether it be a mock sacrifice or some kind of a reenactment of an ancient sex ritual or something like that. Suddenly you have a senator with, you know, a belt around his neck. And then you, but then at the same time, I say, how much do you think is geopolitical in nature and just community building? You know, normal people will go to a corporate retreat and they'll do a faith fall, and all of your friends catch you before you hit the ground. But how many of these people actually want to see a spiritual / supernatural kickback, communing with an actual spirit? And how many people have actually seen it? We've heard about so many attempts. I've never really heard about success stories. I've heard about, obviously there's tons of stories and incredible testimony about exorcisms and possessions and people doing things that are absolutely inexplicable under any kind of normal circumstances. There's evidence of poltergeist and things that are operating in unseen realms that are bleeding over into our world, no doubt about it. But as far as what has actually been done in a successful way, by elites who are meddling and trying to gain favor with that side of reality. I'm short on stories. Do you guys have any?
There's one that came across our table about Hitler recently. During World War I, he's in one of these foxholes and he says he hears a voice, and the voice tells me, I think he's eating, so it tells him to get up and walk over to the men that are down, like, a little further down. And he said the voice was very stern. It told him what to do. He didn't doubt it. He got up, he walked away, and boom, a shell comes and hits exactly where he was standing and kills like 3 men. It would have been him. And he goes on to describe the voice. He gives it a name. It's called Providence. And this voice, or this idea of whatever Providence is mentioned a couple of times in his speeches after he takes control of Germany. This is a muse or an entity of some type that he's receiving advice. It's like he's receiving some sort of clairvoyant advice, and no one really talks about this. No one says. No, I've never really heard anybody stop and be like, he was communing with something, and then during his tenure as a Mein Führer, he's prescribing Pervitin to the rest of the Nazi army, which is just methamphetamine. It's like intramuscular methamphetamine, and when you start to connect the dots, you're like, well, what were they really doing? They're they're obsessed with, I think we spoke about this last time. They're obsessed with the Aryan race. They're looking for ancient artifacts. They're, summoning aliens. They're trying to build a Bell UFO. This guy is talking to a voice named Providence. It's like things start to add up and you can't really look away. So that part right there, I think that's pretty good proof of, well, okay, they're seeking something. He's seeking answers from some external force. He got them, and it led his efforts, fairly successfully until they weren't.
Yeah.
This is actually a really touchy conversation right now, because we're in this like weird renaissance where like Hitler's super based, and if you talk against him, then you're obviously some sort of shill. And I just find it weird that the conversation is like all but omitted any of the occult ties surrounding Hitler, because there's certainly a lot of discussion surrounding him in the history and Weimar and Bolshevik and yada yada. But there's not really much being had on the surface about this occult connection. And there are people who go off and they go like, oh, Hitler actually was Catholic because there's things that he did with the Catholic Church. And, there's photos of him in a Catholic church, and somehow that's indicative of him being Catholic. But if you look at, the Nazi regime and the iconography they chose to surround themselves with, like there's no Catholic or Christian iconography. In fact, it's very particular iconography, right? It's like the thunderbolts, the eagle, even I believe the Zeppelin Tribune Fairgrounds, where he did his speeches from, is designed after the Temple of Zeus, and the eagle is a symbol of Zeus, and the thunderbolts are obviously a symbol of Zeus. And when he commissioned his fairgrounds to be built, the artist who designed them took inspiration from what was in the Berlin Museum at the time, which was the Temple of Zeus. The Temple of Zeus was found in Turkey, would have been ancient Turkey or Pergamum at the time. And in the Bible, it talks about the throne of Satan being in Pergamum. And we believe on Nephilim Death Squad that this pantheon of gods, they're the fallen, right? Zeus obviously being one, a bit of a heavy hitter. Providence is something that's associated with Zeus. It's associated with God too. When you talk about providence, just the divine unfolding of the universe and its way. But obviously, if you exist within a pagan mythology and you believe in the pantheon of gods that the Greeks did, well, then Zeus is the one who you attribute divine providence to. And so it's interesting to me that he has this voice and he's calling it providence. And you would go, well, then certainly he's a spiritual man, right? If he is, he was quoted as saying, and this is in a book, I believe, by his sister-in-law. He's quoted as saying that if the people want me to move, I will not do it. But if the voice tells me to move, then I will move immediately. Like that's the kind of reverence that he regards this voice that he calls providence with. And it's not uncommon for men of that stature to be moved by something like that. It's often spiritual concepts are attributed to our really high ranking world leaders. But you would certainly say then that there must be some religious bent to Hitler if he's following this disembodied voice. And what does he have to show for it? He has Zeus symbolism to show for it. And that's like, I don't know. It's so obvious on its face. If you thought that was the God of the Bible, then you would surround yourself with the iconography.
I'm
but
glad
that's not the case.
I'm glad you're talking about that, because there was on this show years ago, because I was going into a lot of Nazi roots of the Green Movement. There's a big green movement that looks like the environmentalism that the people who, the kind of mindset that has people laying in the middle of superhighways over here in the United States. There's a lot of that going on out there too. But during the war, I believe the guy's name was Alfred Rosenberg, and he helped develop, I believe it was called positive Christianity, that that a lot of people in Hitler's realm saw the little bit more of the traditional Trinitarian view on Christianity as negative, because it wasn't transitory enough to get people in Germany to start merging themselves with, in a more spiritual sense, with where the country was going. And as you said, there's a little bit more, there's a positive Christian Reich kind of influence there. It is deep-seated in Germanic paganism as well. Mm-hmm. So there was that going on, but of course there's always that Christian front to the whole thing. And then but it's a very seldom talked about story there about how very subtly nations tweak the religions there. You want to talk about church and state? Well, it's usually whenever people talks about separation of church and state, the thing there that we have most precedent for is that the state takes control of the church, and because they see it as a host, that if you attach yourself to it, what you gain access to is the hearts and minds of people who only obey most things on account of their faith. And that's it. They leave it all up to God. And it's very, I don't know. I'm sure there's some examples, but it's always the state that takes control of the church, and that has the worst impact, I believe.
I'm looking at this whole, I don't know, all the sort of the Hitler appreciation that's going on, and I recognize you can't separate the fact that so many of the most influential institutions here in America were created and maximalized by Nazis that we took from Operation Paperclip. Those people laid the foundations for certainly the propaganda machine. And I think the propaganda machine right now is steering this conversation. And I really do believe that. I'm not saying that there's not something to be said about, representation of Jews and this or that, but there is, I don't want to sound nihilistic, but I feel as though most people don't care. All right. Most people are not thinking about these sorts of ideas. I found that when I was younger and I was a conspiracy theorist, that I was very much alone, and that people couldn't see the things that I was seeing, and they didn't want to hear about the things that I was saying. And I don't think that that's changed now. I think most people would agree that our opinions and the things that we're passionate about on the grand scale are given to us by the media. Your opinions are not your own. They're often formulated by some algorithm, some Mockingbird media type of situation. And so now that I see so many people engaging in this conversation and feeling passionately that the Nazis were based and Hitler was based and the Jews are everything that plague us, I go, people haven't changed. We're still just carrying the opinions that are handed to us by the media, but the media has changed. It's no longer coming from CNN or Fox News or MSNBC. It's coming from, the greatest cultural manufacturer on earth right now, which is X. In my opinion, I think that's genuinely what it is. It's X is steering the conversation. Maybe that is to say Elon is steering the conversation. And I think there's some real validity to that. But this thing isn't organic. The things that they're talking about, the problems, you want to talk about Europa, you've watched it. I tried to watch it. I watched 3 hours of a 10-hour documentary, and I was like, this is leaving out a lot of the occult stuff. This feels like a piece of propaganda. But like any good propaganda, it's filled with big chunks of truth. So it's kind of the perfect storm. It's like there's a basis of truth here, but people have this instinct to then go, well, if there is a lie that we're being fed about World War II, that must mean that Hitler is based. And you jump all the way to that side. And I think that is the way that this thing is being steered. First, you suppress the speech about it, and then you create an outlet for that conversation to finally be had. And because you suppressed it for so long, when it is had, it is disproportionate. It is there's a whiplash effect, and I think we're going through that right now. And so, everything has started with the Nazis in Operation Paperclip, and now all of a sudden we're having the same conversation about the Nazis and the Jews, and suddenly they're based, and it's not lost on me that that's happening.
I mean, that kind of release, that release of built up pressure from what was once repressed and then just let out in a big explosion. That's happening in a number of ways. We just did a whole thing last night on South Africa and racial tensions and things like that. That's another place to go into it too. But to start use this as a way to segue into a bigger point. Whenever there is tension in society, in the world, there are always people who are going to present themselves as a solution to one thing or another, and emotional decisions are made. Now, this right here will take the bloodline conversation we were talking about. It'll take the alien conversation. It'll talk about the state religion conversation, kind of put it together. It's a little hokey because I don't take it too seriously. This guy, Abdullah Hashem, we were talking about him a little bit last week. He's got a bit of a buzz going on due to his claims of divinity. Granted, the buzz is largely derisive, but he says he's the true pope. He insinuates that Pope Francis's death was divinely ordained to make room for his ascendancy. And he's also the successor of not only Jesus and Muhammad, but also the Jews and everybody. I mean, he is the culmination of everybody's bloodline. And I played a highlight reel of people testifying that he had turned inanimate objects into birds and was raising people from the dead. Anyway, the reason why I would love to hear what both of you guys have to say about him as a character, but his emergence came after this 2005 documentary that he made from infiltrating the Raëlian UFO group.
It was that long ago, 2005?
2005, and in Las Vegas. And Las Vegas is one of his American HQs for this particular, mishmash church that he has started over here. But, that led me back to this whole Raëlian thing. Seems like it would be right in your guys' real wheelhouse. So let's talk about this, especially because they have, one of the crux of their beliefs is that ETs, they call them Elohim, created us through genetic hybridization programs, I guess some kind of an Anunnaki offshoot, but also, Nephilim being the OG genetic editing and hybridization program. I'm just throwing the whole thing toward you guys. What do you think about him and everything and everything in his background that relates to your work?
I just want to say one thing, and then I'll pass the ball to you, Top. But Elohim is the word that would be used in the Bible, and it's describing a high-ranking spiritual entity. It's like God is an Elohim, but the angels are Elohim as well. God is above all, but that is a descriptive to describe a high-ranking spiritual. So I'm not even disagreeing with what he's saying in that way. But Top, what do you think about this guy?
This guy, he screams "fed" to me. Fed. And so I think you had a good point, David. We were talking a little bit about it before on the phone. I'll cut to the chase. It looks like he's making another documentary. It's going to be a banger documentary, but this also plays some weird role if you're paying attention geopolitically. And right now we have Donald Trump, who is no longer taking phone calls from Bibi Netanyahu. So
I heard
it looks like, and I mean he's done a number of things. Actually, there's been reports that came out that Bibi is caught now trying to stifle some trade, the release of the hostages for the American-Israeli hostages that Donald Trump successfully negotiated from Hamas, and that's just another thing that Trump's not happy about. They were trying to get us into war with Iran, and Trump's not happy about this, so he's not talking to these guys. Netanyahu kind of responds in turn saying something like, well, I guess we'll just have to figure it out economically without Donald Trump. And it's like, that sounds to me a little bit like a veiled threat. Like, you don't just get cut off from your money supply and the people who you've been blackmailing for, I don't know, 80 years. and just go, oh, well, I guess we'll just sell more, yarmulkes or whatever they sell. No, this is bad. The tensions here that are underlying, I think people are not quite paying attention to it just yet, but we will be, because Donald Trump is being friendlier to Saudi Arabia, friendly to Qatar. We just worked out like $1 trillion trade deal with Qatar, an economic trade deal. He got like a plane from these guys. He removed the stipulation for Saudi Arabia or for one of these desert countries that if they're going to pursue as a part of their nuclear arms deal, they have to normalize relations with Israel. That is now removed. So this is telling me that there is a fracture between America and Israel. And like, all right, well, why does that even matter? Well, this guy here, Hashem, his religion is a fracture in the multifaceted religions of Islam, or the different sects of Islam, who already don't get along with each other, but they really hate this guy. And when you look into Islam and the history of it, Jay Dyer will probably do a much better job than I will at describing this. But Islam, whatever it is or was or maybe, it was definitely used by the British Empire to destabilize the Middle East. They continually go in, they continually cause tensions between, the Sunni Shiites, all the rest of these sects, and there's never going to be any peace. There's always going to be tension, crackling, but that's what they need to keep this region in disarray. And this, to me, it looks like, besides it being a dope documentary of a guy that has studied every other religion, made like a 50-part documentary series on the other religions, enough to like know what they're about. It seems like he just mishmashed it all together and has done some interesting, parlor tricks and has gotten some people to testify that he did them. I don't really know. But
that's what it feels like. It feels like it's they're actors. So I watched, the testimony, and they are saying wild things. To your point, Frank, it's like this dude. What did he say? He possessed me and used me to resurrect my dead father. Another guy said he resurrected my dead wife. All kinds of crazy things like that. It just strikes me as odd that this guy's rolling around performing miracles we haven't heard of. I mean, we get footage from the Middle East all the time. On Live Leak.
Well, I was gonna say, where's the Live Leak videos?
Exactly. So for us to not have come across that, I lean towards the side of this is a documentary. A little heretical to stand up and say those things, but I mean, if it's in the spirit of a documentary, I don't know if you're doing some sort of a theatrical version of it. It does strike me as odd that the Pope died and this is part of the narrative. So,
let me clarify, because now I'm like remembering my point of like the tangent. I go on like 100 tangents, but it's like as Israel and United States relationships start to deteriorate and we start to negotiate a little bit deeper with these Muslim countries, this guy kind of shows up, and it's just another fracture in that religion, which is, strongly holds together that part of the country, all these nations. So it's like now you throw in this guy and they hate him. They want to, I think they brought legal charges against him. They kicked him out of the country. And that's also used to justify how like this religion is correct because they've been persecuted. It's like, no, you're like inflaming them on purpose. And of course they're going to attack you. These people are kind of low IQ sand people. And that's how I feel about it, but whatever. So that's like part of what's going on that I'm looking at. I'm a little bit suspicious of this movement with this guy. It just looks like Fed stuff and a good documentary, in my opinion.
But it does play to his strength that the Pope passes away, and he says that was kind of preordained, that was destined to happen. And it's like, what I want to know is like, if this dude set out to make a documentary, did the Pope die? And he was like, no shit, dude, did that really just happen? This is perfect. Let's, roll this into the narrative. Let's take advantage of this. Or, is it genuine? But what I will say is that the geopolitical climate is such that it's perfect. It's fertile grounds for people like this to start emerging. These messianic figures are claiming to be messianic figures. I mean, we are in the middle of so many sort of prophetic holy disputes right now, as we've always been, as a species. But I think after COVID, a lot of people started to perk up to like the spiritual aspect of things. And so I think for the first time in a long time, a lot of people think they're bearing witness to, biblical prophecy unfolding. And they may well be, but given that that kind of climate of the conversation, it's perfect for people like this to start rising.
Speaking of orchestrated psyops, then I think that this would be a great thing to go to right now. I want to show you something. And then I'll read the tweet afterwards. This is a short video. It's over the top, so it's, I mean, whatever. But we're gonna get into a little bit more. Here it is. Now, this video right here is footage of what they called Croctalius IV, the first openly lizard pope.
Nice.
And this documentary apparently came out, I think, in the 80s or something like that. This is all AI, obviously, but we're going to talk about this because the channel that shared this had a really interesting caption, and it was in a long line of videos that came out recently that are really well, we'll get to it in a second. First, just watch this. It's a little bit of a throwback of Croctalius IV, the first openly lizard pope.
Today is a timely moment to look back at Croctalius IV, the first openly lizard pope. For centuries, our cold-blooded overlords ruled from the shadows, but in 1983, Croctalius broke through the Vatican substrate and hissed his name in the ancient tongue. Finally, a pope unafraid to shed the human meat suit. Young reptiles everywhere saw themselves in the Komodo, known as the Terror of Mozambique. Croctalius was a champion of inclusion, extending baptism to eggs, whilst at the same time being really hard on fashionable handbags. It was during his reign that the official minimum temperature of the Catholic Church was raised to 35 degrees, as well as being the reason all ceremonies now include misting with holy water and a shit ton of flies. His last official act was the introduction of the lesser-known 11th commandment, no sudden movements. To many, he was a prophet. To his 5,000 spawn forming the shadow government of Luxembourg, he was simply Papa. And to us, a reminder, they're not hiding anymore.
Okay, now here. This is one. It's very fucking strange, but here is what the caption read. Where the hell is it now? Oh, come on, man. Where the hell is this? Is this right here?
Is this the Pope Leon or Leo? What is his name?
Leo the 14th. No, but this is supposed to be footage from 1983. Okay.
Right.
Now, here's the end of it. Look at the end of this. It's from the
Nostalgia Archive, preserving false memories.
You see?
Oh no!
Now this is it's a really interesting brand. I mean, when you talk about nostalgia, and their tagline being "preserving false memories." Now, as a social media brand, it's brilliant. You know, they use the VHS filters. They do, you know, the over the top reptilian themes. You can get what they're doing, but governments and government adjacent groups can and will do far more effective work confusing the general public with much subtler work. And the fact they are, again, preserving false memories. This was this is what the OP put out there when he shared the video. It was PJ Ace said, conspiracy theories are about to go nuclear. As AI video gets better, they'll start off as memes and then they'll get embedded in the public consciousness. Listen to this line. We are on the edge of a new folklore era. And I started thinking to myself, on the edge of a new era of folklore. Just because the old era was pretty incredible when you think about it. I mean, word of mouth, far more incomplete understanding of the natural world. You know, you think about what ancient people thought about sprites in the sky at night, or a ball lightning, or eclipses. We already know what was done in the name of eclipses. But I mean, what do you guys think about that? That we're on the edge of a new era of folklore.
Dude, I think we're already there.
I'm looking forward to it. Like I am contributing as hard as I can to I don't know if you follow me, Frank, on Twitter, and I've kind of like toned it down because I've just been busy the last year or so, like building shit. But I like to lie. I like to just go on Twitter and just make shit up. And if you do it in a convincing enough way, if you hit the culture in the right moment, like I put a picture up of a young kid that was like being fake crucified, and it's actually my son. And it's a whole story that like they were learning about, you know, the crucifixion. They were super hyped about it. So my mom took a picture. Look at this, how cool. And I sprayed fake blood on it. And this was right around the time of October 7th. And I put it online and I say, can't believe Hamas did this. They're crucifying young Jewish children now as a slight to the state of Israel. How horrible, something like that. It goes viral, like millions and millions and millions of views. And it had 3 effects. Like one type of person, they got it immediately. And they go, this is funny. The second person got it and said, you're crazy. That's also correct. The third person got violently angry at me, at whoever. And I'm like, oh, you're just like looking, if you're looking to be angry, if you're looking to laugh, if you're looking to try to make sense of things, you're going to do that online, especially on Twitter. So when this stuff starts to proliferate online, those 3 personalities will come out a lot, and it's going to be beautiful to watch. People will be confused, people will be angry, people will be laughing. And then it's going to get to a point like where it's like one of those AI just came out with Donald Trump talking about the death penalty for, I don't know, I forget what it was, but it was AI, and I was like, this is very convincing.
Yeah.
And we're at that point of that. What do they call that?
The uncanny valley, or
uncanny valley.
Or is it the no? That's uncanny valley, I think is what it is. Well, I was watching a video the other day, and I actually posted about this. I found myself getting a little bit bummed out because I was watching a video from a nature page on Twitter, and it said something about alpha male dominance, whatever, and it was showing elephants, and the elephants were walking down crocodiles to protect their young. Yeah. And the thing is, it wasn't real. It was AI. Like the baby elephant like falls apart and turns into a blanket.
I saw this. The mother elephant took the crocodile into its mouth and dropped it.
Yes. And my thing about that is like, that seems innocuous. It seems like you wouldn't even think about that. But I realized that it's like a grooming process. Like now, even the innocuous videos that have no agenda are AI. And it's going to get to a point where virtually everything, I'm not going to lie, Frank, I feel like maybe I'm blowing smoke in our asses, but people like us that are talking into a microphone and on camera, we're going to be the last kind of bastion of being able to prove like we're real. We're actually here. I can see you in the live chat. I can engage with you, I can talk to you personally because
shameless plug. Yes. But I mean, no, we could very well be fake. I don't know.
That's true. We could be AI.
Yeah, but I could be fake right now. But if you do want to find out if we're real, we're doing something called Bohemian Grove. I don't know.
Yeah, we're going to be on stage this coming June 20th through the 21st.
I saw that. You got Sam Tripoli showing up and Owen Benjamin, right?
Yeah, Owen Benjamin, Sam Tripoli, Shane Cashman's coming out. We've got a bunch of people. A lot of people we're not even announcing. We've invited a lot of people to just come and hang. But we're going to do 2 days of comedy and conspiracy. The first day is going to be heavy on a conspiracy. A lot of what we talk about with you on these past few episodes, this whole MK Ultra program, the aliens, how they fit in, these entities that people encounter. And then the next day is just complete insane comedy that's going to be on the next one. So
it's like it's very hard to pull off a live event. And David suggested it like when we started doing the show. He's like, man, if this show ever does well, we should do something like that because it's important, especially because of shit like this. Like you have like an elephant fighting an alligator that may or may not be real. It's like, nah, dog, we got to do more in real life stuff. Like we are real people, physical beings. We're walking around. I want to shake some of these people's hands and like, hey, I need to know that the people that watch this, like there's a bunch of people
bots.
In the chat. Yeah, dude, all these people are bots. They're all fake. I see your, Nikki or whoever, all fake. They're all just saying like,
no, Nikki's real.
AI.
Nikki's real. All
right, fine. Nikki's real, but the rest of them, I don't know about the rest of them.
Nikki's been at the studio years ago. She's real.
Okay, fine. Verified. What does Shane Cashman call it though? Cashman calls it post-reality, right? Yeah. And that's like what we're in. We are in it right now. Like, I think that video was right. I think that's coming. And I think that people like us a lot of people are going to have to catch up, Frank. And by that, I mean, if you have a tendency to
somebody said everything is cake. This is the reality that we're
right. The cake is a lie. But if you already have that proclivity for sleuthing through information to try to find the truth, you're going to be at least in better standings. A lot of people don't do that. And we're going to find very soon that it was very important to develop discernment. It was very important to develop a system by which you vet these things that you learn online, because if you don't have that, we these goofy idiots is sitting in these chairs. We're going to be light years beyond you because we're going to scrutinize these things and we're going to try to parse out the truth from the fiction. A lot of people are going to find that that's a skill set that they didn't know they were going to need, and they're really going to need it.
You're right. You're right. Listen, well, we already got to it. I mean, this is a good place to stop for tonight. Because I want to do a reality verification check with the audience and take some calls from them right after this break. So, but before you guys leave, first of all, tell everybody your broadcast schedule and, of course, where they can go and check out more information about your meetup and that you were just talking about. But give everybody the the nutshell version of all the particulars that they're going to need. And we are having our very first meet and greet social gala kind of a thing in September. So I know you guys are down in the Southeast around there, but if you find any reason to come up to New York in the tri-state area in the early September, it'd be awesome to have you just milling around. There's not going to be, it's going to be a really good time. So I'm glad that people are doing these things, because you're right, we got to be out there. We got to put concerts together, and that's coming over here on this end too. A lot of music and shit like that. But tell everybody what's going on, broadcast schedule, and where they can find out information about your event.
So as far as the event's concerned, you can go to brogrove.com and you can check out all the details there. Like I said, it's a 2-day event, June 20th through the 21st in Leesburg, Florida at the Nootropic Theater. And it's going to be a good time, I think about 5 hours each day. You'll get all the details over on Brogrove.
Day one is our conspiracy day. So we're going to have, it'll be Nephilim Death Squad doing a performance, Shane Cashman doing a performance of his show, and he'll be emceeing both days. We're going to have a conspiracy roundtable hosted by the Cult of Conspiracy guys. And there's a lot in Florida. There's all the conspiracy creators that you want. It's called the Florida Illuminati. We started it. There's a blood ritual to get into the whole thing, but they're going to be sharing the stage. It'll be headlined by Sam Tripoli doing stand-up comedy. The next day is just pure comedy. It's called Rapapalooza. We've got Elijah Schaefer doing his show. We have a special guest possibly coming through. Tower Gang will be performing offensive comedy, and the night will be capped off by Owen Benjamin doing stand-up comedy. It's in a theater, like a legitimate theater in a small town in Florida that we have taken over. These people have no idea what's headed their way, and it's very exciting. Tickets are actually more than halfway sold out, and we still have like a month and a half before this event starts. So this is like, it's crazy. It's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of people, going to be a lot of fun. We actually just booked a band too, Frank. So we're doing
that's how you know it's serious. We
Sweet.
also booked a band.
Sweet.
Also, guys, you can find Nephilim Death Squad anywhere, but I'm not going to lie. I typically don't promote the Patreon on other people's shows, but we just realized that our content, we make so much. We record like 2 to 3 episodes for every episode that we air. So a lot of our viewers on YouTube, a lot of our viewers on Rumble, yes, you can find us there. Yes, those are old episodes. If you want an updated stream, it's patreon.com/Nephilim Death Squad. And we are doing, 5-6 episodes a week. And so the people there find that there's a lot of bang for their buck. So that's the greatest place to find us. Otherwise, you can find me on Twitter or X at David L. Corbo.
That's it. Well, hey, we'll be shouting each other out on Twitter after this and tomorrow when we're sharing the rerun and all that. But I can't thank you guys enough for spending time with me tonight, and I look forward to session number 3.
Yes, dude. Thanks for having us. I was surprised when we got the invite back, but
yeah, me too. I'm like, is this guy serious?
Sure.
I'm like Bone
Thanks
Crusher.
for having us, dude.
Yeah, I'm not scared. Let's just do it. Let's just fucking do it. I'm sure we'll get in trouble one day, but not tonight. All right.
Yeah, we'll get in trouble in September when we come over there.
That's it, man. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great night.
Later,
Peace out, man.
There you go. There is Top and Raven. So, what do we do now? Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to take a moment right now to say, if you want access to behind the scenes footage of this show, of this real show, you want to put a conscious investment, small, modest investment into new media that you can grow old with. You can get the Sunday streams that are all private. There's the film and the book clubs. I mean, consider becoming a sponsor. Patreon, Subscribe Star, directly through the sponsor page on quitefrankly.tv. All the links are there. The links are in the description below. There's a fun menu, sponsorship options, and it helps keep this show independent, and it helps us plan for the future. And as far as that future goes, I'm excited that we ended on that note, because it's true. It's necessary that people do things in person again, that you're able to actually filter out the illusion that are online digital interactions and all these lives that are lived through comment sections and retweets and all that shit. I understand the nature of the game. It's the lifeblood of how this stuff is syndicated, as as opposed to a couple of decades ago, where the only way you're reaching audiences like this is if you're syndicated by a Westwood One or a Cumulus Media or something like that. So it's a blessing to be in this chaotic time. And September is going to be great. We had another meeting today. It was me, Jay, Krista, the producer of the show, Molly of Keto Brainz. So we got our sponsors put together. It's going to be a really chill night. I'm trying to figure out our, the celebrity list that's going to be there and people from the show. King already picked out, he sent me a picture of all the wardrobe choices for September. He's going to look chic, but there's going to be a lot of people there. I want to see if I can get Tony Black to be there. The family, friends, everybody. It's going to be a good night, meet and greet. A little bit of everything. A little bit of, I don't know, bar trivia. It's not going to be too crazy. You're not going to be sitting in it. It's going to be a nice mixer. So there you have it. Okay, so let's take some calls. It's 8:36, and I've got questions for you all. Do you think, I don't know, call in with whatever struck you tonight. What struck you, and where did it hit? That's what I want to know. 914-200-0269. Give me a buzz. I want to hear from you right now. 914-200-0269. Prove that you're real. And I'm going to go into the super chats in the meantime. First one up. Let's see here. Rumble Rant. We have a Lone Ranger Rumble Rant. Tommy Jekyll. Tommy says you'll need funding to get Aurora's ice cream cone. Yeah, well, yeah. Thank you so much, Tommy. And you know what? Thank you, everybody hanging out over there. Whatever you do, like the episode. There's over 1,000 people on Rumble alone right now, and only 160 likes. Hit the thumbs up button. It's a big. That is one platform that liking and commenting after the show would actually get us subscribers. It happens on YouTube as well, but Rumble is still pretty fertile. And send over some Rumble rants as well. Let's take a call from Joseph. What's going on, man?
This is Mr. Mission Control. Hey, what's up?
It's good to hear from you. So what'd you take away from tonight's show?
No, it was great. Nephilim Death Squad's all right, man. But I've been feeling the solar activity and all the Earth changes that's been going on. Now I used to be a political guy, but always been attuned to the Earth and watching all this stuff. So all this weird stuff that's going on, mainly solar directed. But I'm real. I'm Mr. Mission Control. I'm not a chatbot. I wish I was. I wish I was a chatbot.
Oh, you do? Hey, well, I'm glad you call in with that. That used to be big on politics, and now it's just more so. You're just following the ebb and flow of the nature of things, sun activity, things like that. I gotta say, it's probably where a lot more people are going to gravitate. I'm sure that is where the momentum is shifting. There's a lot of people who are coming to their senses about what the politics is all about, and the limited the limited options for reforming what we know as the political world and how that affects us.
There's a big new censorship thing going to come back on, kind of like what we've seen 2020 and around that time, and similar things. But yeah, I covered that. Like I said, I got another channel back that had been banned for 3 years because I was covering all that stuff.
Nice.
Vaccine research and stuff, and we exposed all. I guess we can talk about it now, right?
No.
Exposed all this.
No, you can't. You can't.
Everybody exposed all that stuff, and they're talking about it now a little bit. I'm not going to get you banned.
No. All I'm going to say is, if you just got a channel back after 3 years, what I would say is do whatever you can to find a new way of expressing your ideas on YouTube. I'm not saying.
Yeah, and I would say it's like guys that follow like Climate Viewer, Dutch Sense, and all these guys have been shadow banned by the algorithm. We've got a window here. We've got a real distinct window here that we can manifest and you know about manifesting and the metaphysics behind all this religious stuff. Put the dogma and all that stuff behind, and get down to the spiritual and back to nature, and especially right now when everybody's planting gardens and stuff.
That you know what, Mission Control, and thank you for the call. That is something that Poopy Butthole out there would say, yes, let's do it. Remember when Poopy would call in and say, hey, everybody, listen, tomorrow at 11 past 11, let's all take 6 minutes and pray and concentrate on visions of a new peaceful world. Maybe we should do more like linking up. Hey, tomorrow at this time, everybody just take a moment and get yourself into some good broadcast modes and collective vision. It'd be good. Maybe we can dissipate a hurricane or something like that. We should try that. We should actually set an intention experiment on manipulating weather. I like that idea. Let's see here. Let's take another call. Dora, is that you?
Hi, Frank. How are you?
I'm all right. You sound very far away. Can you get closer to the receiver, please?
Okay. Let me get the phone line up. Oh, I took it down. Hold on. There we go. Sorry about that, Frank.
I hear you.
Great. I'm calling in for the second time. Dora from Michigan. What a fascinating night listening to you guys talk. So what resonated with me and what I wanted to share with you is that when you guys are talking about the psychotropic medication, my cousin's 1 year older than me, so he's 56, right? And his whole life, he's went through a windshield when he was a kid. His whole life, he's told us that he used to hang with Jimi Hendrix. They partied. He swore up and down about stuff that his, pictures have turned up with a kid that looks just like my cousin sitting behind Jimi Hendrix. Like the psychotropic medication that they put people on, right? I think that he is so alive that he is in multi-dimensions at all times. And he is just, he comes off crazy because, damn, if you had to flip from third, fourth, fifth degrees or leap to, like that show Quantum Leap, right? If you had to keep bouncing into you on whatever timeline, you would be weird. You would be out of your mind. But they're telling
you're right.
Truth.
You're right. You're right. If there was something there, forget about. We've had callers that have contributed stories from their lives, and I believe that they believe they're telling the truth, and to believe these stories as you're telling them are crazy there too, because you wonder what does that do to you on a spiritual and a psychological level if you know that you've had an experience that actually places you in the middle of a of a bilocation kind of a event where you are in two different places at the same time, or what you're talking about here, two different times at the same time. I mean,
Right.
what do you even do? What kind of a dream do you think that you're caught up in? Do you even believe that you're awake half of the time? If that's your actual living experience, I would feel like I was stuck in a dream.
He's homeless, right? And he's on disability because of the windshield and trauma. When we were younger as kids, we lived together, right? Well, he always told us about shit. And we'd be like, Tony, you didn't go anywhere. Knock it off. You've been with us the whole damn time. We actually got a picture, and there he is in the picture with Jimi Hendrix and some other artist, was it Janis Joplin, sitting on a wood thing, and my cousin is right behind them.
Wow. Well, it's something to think about, and thank you for the call. It's good to hear from you, Dora.
All right. Thanks, Frank.
Oh man, well there. Just imagine if that was your reality. A, get people to believe you. B, regardless if they believe you or not, that's your reality. Where are you? Let's take a call. What is this? Do we actually have a call from Poland coming in right now?
Hey Frank, yeah, this is from Poland.
Wow,
this is Mike.
Mike,
I've called in before.
Okay, well, it's good. Well, are you stationed out there?
Yeah.
Now,
yeah,
okay.
I'm,
Now
I'm
I
a soldier
remember.
out here in Poland.
Now I remember the call. It was right around the time that we were. There's a little bit more escalating headlines about whether or not there was going to be some sort of a Article 5 event that was going to expand the war east of you. But it's good to hear from you. I'm glad that things have not gotten worse. Knock on wood. What's on your mind tonight?
Yeah. It was also around the time right after Donald Trump was elected. And I was telling you how people over here are very happy for that. But I just wanted to call in real quick because apparently today President Obama is also in our city, but he's not coming to visit the troops out here. Wanted to know what you think about that.
I didn't even hear about that. So he's doing business in Poland right now, but nobody can really pinpoint where he is and who he's meeting with?
Well, he's meeting at a forum called Impact 25, which is just a discussion about Polish-owned industry, innovation, and economy. Haven't seen any headlines about it yet because he apparently spoke today, but I'm sure that probably going to see some more stuff about that tomorrow in the news.
Hold on. Impact 25 Poland. Let me see what's going on here. I have not heard about this. This is the first time I'm hearing anything about it. But I heard that there has been some really impressive anti-migration demonstrations going on out there in Poland. So that's nice to hear. Let's see. Understand your Impact 25. Well, I'm not finding really anything over here. What I'm going to do, Mike, is I'll go and research a little bit more. And if you have anything, you can send it to me.
Yeah, if I see anything tomorrow, because I'm at work right now, just pulling the night shift. But if I find anything, I'll send it to you in an email. It's pretty interesting, just timeline wise, and also that he's not coming to see all the men and women in uniform out here while he's abroad.
Well, as a baseline, I would never assume that Barack Obama is going around the world to spread some, red, white, and blue cheer and bring some star-spangled enthusiasm to our troops. I'm figuring he's going out there to do business, and of course, what that business entails is probably nothing that has anything to do with the betterment of our country or the host country that has him there. It's more so about doing business for the super friends that have their talons stuck in the Western Hemisphere's side right now. And I don't know. If you know anything else, let me know. And when people like you call in, I always like treating this as an inside information line too. So whenever I see a Poland number popping up, I'll know that Mike is calling in with some inside information or some kind of a theory that you have generated out there on a whole other front of this timeline. So thanks for the call, man.
Yeah, I'll try what I can. And last time you asked if any other soldiers are listening to you, I was listening to you just in the office earlier, and there were about 3 other guys who came and listened for about 20 minutes and said, hey, I'm going to listen to you more. So you're doing a good job. The guests were great, and appreciate what you do.
Well, thank you. And send my regards to your brothers in arms out there.
Appreciate you, Frank. Thanks.
Take care. All righty. All right, 8:48. Let's take another call. Actually, hold on. Before I fall behind over here, let me see here. Jay Britz on quitefranklysuperchat.com says, I'm really enjoying Raven and TopLobsta. And by the way, I am AI. Or am I? Thanks, Frank. That's from Jay Britz. Thank you for the tip over there, my friend. Thank you so much. On YouTube, we have some super chats. Not enough to get me wearing the very loud shirt on Friday, though, but still, love to Dan Schumann. Dan says, hey, Frank, happy to be first at something today. Rock out, my friend. Looking forward to another great show. Well, it's good to have you out there, Dan. Thank you. Let's see here. Kobe Shumway says only 2.59999 to go. It's good to have you. Good to have you, Kobe. Thank you. And hello, Kitty. Happy day, beautiful family. And road trip, the last one there says, Holy Blood, Holy Grail. The Grail is the bloodline. Yeah. Yeah. The Grail is the bloodline. Little Dan Brown there. Man, I remember reading the Da Vinci Code. So much controversy. I didn't care about the controversy. You know how I got that? I was working at the pharmacy that I met Lauren at, and I went across the street to the stationery store, and I got myself like a Win for Life or something, and I scratched it off. It was only like $2 or something, and I won $20. I said, "Oh shit, okay. Well, I'm going to go to Borders Books, and I'm going to buy Da Vinci Code because I hear a lot about this thing. I hadn't read anything in a while, and it sounded like it'd be pretty interesting. Man, I finished that book. That was the fastest I ever read a book. For me, at that age, when I was not really going out of my way to read books, but that's the fastest I ever read a book. It was so exciting and spooky. A book of its time. And then Angels and Demons. Oh, that was before, I think. I don't know. Those movies were all right. All right, let's take a call. 252, you're on the air. Go ahead.
What's up, Frank? This is John from North Carolina.
Hey, John. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, man. You guys were talking about, I heard you briefly bring up the Pope and then also bring up AI and all that. And I went to Mass this past weekend, and the priest was talking about how the reason that the Pope picked his name, Leo the 14th, is because of the battle that's going to be waged against AI and all that, since, it's against God's image and all that. I thought that was pretty interesting. I've been taking my 10-year-old son, he's my stepson, but I'm soon to be adopting him, and I've been taking him to get him into the Catholic faith, and we've been going to church, and when the priest started to go into that about AI, he's a kid, so he's always on like Roblox and all that stuff. He started to smirk a little, and I was like, I told you, bud, but I thought that was interesting.
I'm paying particularly close attention to Leo the 14th, and his brothers have been getting a lot of attention these days, and that's been kind of fun, from an American standpoint. And his brothers are.
I'm from Chicago, man. I'm a Cubs fan. At first, they said he was a Cubs fan, and they switched it up and they showed footage of him at the 2005 World Series, and the White Sox won, which I thought that was pretty cool. There's actually footage of him there at one of the games when the Sox were closing out that series.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what happened. I was a little black-pilled when you had Louis Zagami on, and then I was a little getting down about it. I was excited about the conclave and everything. Then you had him on, then I was watching Timothy Gordon cover the conclave, and it's like, well, shit, here we go again.
I know. Dude,
God can use him as an instrument, maybe.
Who knows? I understand what you mean, and thanks for the call.
Yeah.
Let me add a little bit to that, and thank you for the call, John, and all the best to you and your son. Here's the thing. I'm going to bring a lot of people on that I know are going to upset me and what I would just like for things to just work out in our favor once. I just want something to work out in our favor, something that we can build some momentum on. I love having Ryan Gable on. I know he's going to crush my heart at some point. Leo Zagami is going to crush my heart at some point. But it's all right. Listen, with Leo, first of all, that was a fantastic show that we did last week. You should go check it out. And, Timothy Gordon had some choice things to say about why he believes that this is not going to be very much different than what we had with Francis. And, of course, this means more if you're Catholic, but, it also means something if you are just geopolitically aware. But, I'm keeping an open mind, and I've been watching a lot of things, and I know there are some things that have given me some hope there. I got to watch something that Taylor Marshall put out before. I haven't watched one of his videos in a long time, and it came up suggested, and it said Pope Leo the 14th talks about the liturgy. And I want to see what he's saying about the liturgy, because I know that there has been a lot more about him. I've seen so many clips about him talking about mystery. And it's very intriguing stuff. Then of course I see Steve Bannon talking about how the entire thing was very rigged and why, and it was about money as well as having some sort of an American, an American faith-based / political figure in the Pope that can, that can make up ground for the way that progressives are still licking their wounds over the loss to Trump. I'll take that under advisement. It makes sense. It's plausible. But, like with most things, just got to call balls and strikes here. Just got to call balls and strikes. And yeah. And the good thing about these topics and issues of the soul is that you have all the control in the world over the way you act and internalize these things and how you respond spiritually, emotionally. You can work on that stuff. And I want to be excited about something. So I'm not going to just tell myself, fuck it all, right off the bat. I'm totally comfortable with eventually saying fuck it all, but I just got to see something that is fuck it all worthy first. Okay? All right, let me get to the super chats on quitefrankly.tv. Powered by Pilled. Thank you, Sean Joe, C. Blanche, Stephen and Lori, Witchy Poo. Rise Attire says, Frank, will you wear wigs? When will you wear wigs? I don't have a wig. I don't have one. I still have that long-haired one. No. I think I threw that out. Got too tangly. I did too much head banging in it. But I would definitely wear a hairpiece one night on the show. If I had a set of hairpieces, I think that would be hilarious. It'd be hilarious. I don't want to be goofy. Like if they look like legit. It's like there's Frank as with a crew cut or whatever the hell it is. I think that'd be funny. I think it'd be funny. Then I go home depressed. So I take it off and I see my head and then I just say, and then I put it back on. And then I put it back on. And that's when the real problem starts. I can't stop wearing it. And then the joke that was between me and you turns into something where there's an intervention. Like Lauren's like, Frank, please take it off. Please take it off. It doesn't suit you. And I refuse to take it off. It starts falling apart. I start going bald again because the wig is losing hair. It's like losing it all over again. Oh my God, that would be hilarious. Oh, that would be hilarious if I go bald all over again because yes. Anyway, if you want more of this, but in person, just come to the meetup in September whenever we sell the tickets. All right, let's see. Back over there. C. Blanche, Hogleg, thank you. Safety Net says, I love this show. One love, Lynn. Rise Attire says, Carl Jung was doing this research on schizophrenics a century ago and coming to those same conclusions. Schizos are more open to the collective consciousness and other dimensions. Sean Joe, Neo says, these guys are great. Have them on more. They're awesome. Yes, I'd like to. So I had them on in March. Have them on again in May. Maybe at the end of summer or so. Who knows? There's always something to talk about. As long as there's topics, the guest will present itself. Witchy Poo, great show tonight. Thank you so much, Witchy, and all the cookies. Thank you, Sentinels. It's a great show, Frank. Looking forward to Movie Club. So am I. Watch The Prestige over the weekend and just get into the forum thread and leave a voicemail. The forum thread on Monday's Movie Club. Brewbark says, congrats on broaching the subject. Looking forward to Paul Anthony Wallace interview, The Fifth Kind. Thank you, Witchy. Again, and the Sentinel, the last one here. I have contact every day with a poopy butthole. I imagine everyone does, but hearing something from one other than a fart is refreshing, yes. Something else. Well, Poopy hasn't called into the show in a very long time. He texts the show through like Twitter and stuff, but Max Meeks says, book The American Exile Trilogy, Frank. The American Exile Trilogy. Yeah. The entire trilogy. Thank you, Max. Ron Oswald says, great show, Frank. Thank you. Well, thank you, my friends. Thank you. And that's where we're going to end tonight. It's 8:59. Wonderful. The callers were great. There was more to be taken over here, but then I would fall behind with the super chats. And tomorrow, it's Thursday. And you know what that means? At 7 o'clock, we are going live. We are going to be talking to Michael Collins of the Wandering Wolf. We're going to be going to ancient archaeological sites. We're talking about modern day cover-ups, strange things going on. It's going to be great. Maybe in the second half of the show, more of your calls, and who knows, depending on what's going on with the Supreme Court and so-called birthright citizenship, which is bullshit, but it's probably what we're going to get stuck with. I don't know. I just see this being a loss between Amy Coney Barrett and John Roberts. I can see this being a loss. To imagine that they crafted the 14th Amendment in the 19th century and that Congress wanted to let it be known that as long as you cross over the national border and squeeze a kid out, they now enjoy all of the privileges of American citizenship. To imagine that is just as ridiculous as the people who say that the General Welfare Clause essentially negates the entire idea of a limited government, because the government can do anything it wants as long as it believes it's in the best interest of the country. Thank you, Alexander Hamilton. Anyway, thank you guys. That's it for tonight. I will see you tomorrow. And we'll see what happens in the second half of the show. Maybe I can bring on a Chris Ann Hall or a Brian McClanahan, or who the hell knows, in the last couple of minutes to just lay down a couple of moments of commentary on that if we do get some sort of an opinion tomorrow. That's all. Become a sponsor of the show. Share this episode. Comment after the fact. That helps out a great deal. And I will see you tomorrow. Good night. That's not what I meant to do. Just shut your mouth.
I'll catch you on the flip side.